Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Burning Question series by Fantasy Football Scout. In this series, Pras and I, Sonaldo, talk about the key hot topics for the week. Welcome to Game Week 30, Pras. How are you doing?
Hey man, I'm good. On the back of a good game week, excited to have 9 players playing today. I'm actually going to the game, the Liverpool Arsenal game.
Ooh, nice.
So very excited to watch my triple captain live.
Yeah, I'm sure Salah will do great. I do also have 9. I think a lot of people have about that number because we're so stacked up on Liverpool, Arsenal, and Spurs. So really exciting games to come in a couple hours. So I'll be asleep, but wake up to hopefully some good news and a Sun goal. So that'd be nice to see. But enjoy the game, Pras. Thank you guys for waiting a little bit. I know we were running a little bit late on time. So before we go into the main topics, what we'll cover today is one, should I free hit, and how many players is enough? And then we also have some, we break it down into sections, and then we have a free hit draft that's sort of template and also a risky draft, and then we'll go to our bus teams. But before we do there, 33 fixtures were announced. So we have a couple doubles coming up and very interesting doubles. So what do we have for 33, Pras? We're going to speak on it later, but just for reference.
Yeah, exactly. Look, when I tweeted out earlier today, there was a lot of disappointment that we're not going to talk about Game Week 33. So we're still not going to do a deep dive, guys. But I think we can't not talk about the doubles that were announced yesterday. So what we have at the moment, what we know is that Game Week 31 will have an additional game between Everton and Burnley. So that'll be a double game week. Not as exciting, and we'll come to Game Week 31. And I think it may be the first time where we see a non-double game weeker as the most popular captain, because I think that both these teams are pretty underwhelming. Yeah. In terms of Game Week 33, that's the big one. That's where the big announcement has come. And you guys... a lot of people will see doubles for Liverpool, City, Chelsea on the FPL website, and that's going to confuse the hell out of people. The reason is, right now, the FA Cup quarterfinals haven't taken place. That's going to happen this weekend, right? I mean, that's going to be when Crystal Palace play Everton, Nottingham Forest play Liverpool, Southampton play Man City, and Middlesbrough play Chelsea. So whichever team makes it through that will basically not have a game on the weekend of Game Week 33. Now, that means that when you see the double for Chelsea, which is Leeds away and Arsenal home, that will actually become a single game week if Chelsea win of Arsenal at home. So they will lose the first fixture. Similarly, Liverpool, right now you'll see on the FPL website, it's Aston Villa away and Man United home. They will lose Aston Villa away and it'll be just Man United home. So basically the idea is right now the FPL website gives you a much rosier picture of Game Week 33 than it actually is. What we do know is that Brighton will have a double game week. That's confirmed. And that's a not that appealing double game week against Spurs away and Man City away. You have yet another Burnley double game week, which is West Ham away and Southampton home. You have a Leicester double game week, which is decent. Newcastle away and Everton away. And then you have a Man United double, which is also confirmed. Norwich at home and Liverpool away. And then you have Newcastle, which is Leicester at home and Crystal Palace at home as well. So I think these are the confirmed doubles. So now what else can happen? Now, the big fixture that will determine the next double is the Southampton-Man City game. Now, obviously, we all expect Man City to win. If Man City do win, then Southampton will have a double, which is Arsenal at home and Burnley away. And Arsenal will have a double, which is Southampton away and Chelsea away. So that's what we expect. And this is based on the fact that Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man City should win. If there's a chance, because the only game where there's a chance of an upset without offending Middlesbrough or Nottingham Forest fans is Southampton beating Man City. And if Southampton beat Man City, then Arsenal will lose their double and Man City will instead have a double of Wolves away and Brighton at home. So that's basically the lay of the land. In addition to all of this, there could be potential blanks. So Aston Villa could have a blank, Leeds could have a blank, and Wolves could have a blank. Now, Wolves would not have a blank if Man City didn't. But let's work with our most expected outcomes, which is Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man City to win. So therefore, in that case, Villa, Leeds, and Wolves, the teams that we're all targeting and talking about in the free hit of Game Week 30, are the teams that will blank in Game Week 33. So that's basically the picture. how this fits into the broader planning, this is something that we will do next week. We'll have obviously the FA Cup results by then. We will then know confirmed Game Week 33 fixtures, and we will be able to guess much better where Game Week 36 and Game Week 37 fit. So at that point, we'll do a video of, if you have no chips left, what could you potentially look to do? If you have one free hit like myself, what would you do? And if you're loaded with chips like Sonaldo, with a wildcard, bench boost, and free hit, what are your potential options? So that's something that we'll do next week.
Yeah. So, Pras, so a nightmare scenario would be a Man City having a double in 33, correct, for you?
Not necessarily for me, because I have a free hit left. But for me, the worst case scenario for somebody with no chips would be Man City having the double. And I say that because right now we're loaded with Arsenal, Liverpool, and Spurs players. None of them would have a double in 33. The teams that would have a double in 33 would be City, and pretty much nobody has City players right now. Maybe some have Cancelo. And Man United, not many have those players. So essentially the teams that would double in 33 would then be teams that haven't had doubles leading up to this. So we're all basically void of their players. That would be, for me, the worst case scenario for people with no chips. But, we'll know more next week.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll keep it brief. I know a lot of people were asking on Twitter about it. But again, we'll have a better picture next week and more time to sort of digest everything and give you more structured plans in terms of, different chip strategies, because everybody has different amount of chips at this point. So, yeah, I will speak a little closer to the mic. So let's get into it. Again, the topic this week is free hit 30. So the first thing we have here is sort of the ownership of the top 10K managers for a free hit ideal team, I guess, or the free hit player pool.
No, it's as it stands. It's as it stands.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is before they've made any transfers this week. What we want to show people is, what is your competition doing? I mean, you may be in 100K, but you want to see what people have in general, right? You see a lot of these polls on Twitter. How many players do you have for Game Week 30? Because you're trying to benchmark. Right. And Live FPL already has this functionality. They have this amazing feature where you can see how many people own certain players. So for the listeners, what we're talking about here is there's a table that shows the average top 10K manager ownership. So Saka is at the top. About 85% people own Saka. Rafinha is at 64%, Doherty 64%, Kulusevski 58%, and so on and so forth. What this adds up to, if you add up all these percentages, what it adds up to is 8.5 players. So on average, somebody in the top 10K has 8.5 players before making a transfer in Game Week 30. Now, there's a little bit of double counting here because, for example, people like me have Sa and Ramsdale. So that's slightly overcounting the Sa, as he's not a one player. He's probably on the bench as well. There's also Dean in there, annoyingly, for me and you, who looks to be out. So that removes another 0.3. So in summary, what we're trying to say is there's about 8 players that the top 10K owns. So assuming that most will either save a transfer or have one free transfer, you're looking at about 9 as the average pool. So obviously, if you're free hitting, you'll have a 2-player advantage. But what we'll come to is, if you have 7 players, do you really need to free hit? Or can you actually save it for this, exciting 33 or the big double coming in 36? So that's basically the idea of showing this ownership. And on the right side of this table, you also see by team. So it's no surprise that the 2 teams most top 10K managers are loaded up on are Spurs and Arsenal, each with about 2.4 players. And then you have Wolves, Arsenal, Leeds. So that's basically to give you an idea. This is from Live FPL. Everyone knows the website. So just to give you an idea of where people stand. So maybe we can get to the next one.
Yeah, I think simply put, it's a really good reference point to answer that question of how many players you need as a starting base. So definitely check out this chart. Maybe you can take a screenshot of it or something. So yep. So the second slide we have is the question: is a free hit worth it? So Pras, what do we have here?
So is a hit worth it? So basically,
is a hit worth it? Yeah.
Yeah. So what we tried to do in this table, we went to the Scouts Rate My Team tool, and there are others out there. For example, FPL Review, and basically what we did is, what is the expected points that people will even get? So, and to no surprise, and we'll come to the fixtures in a second, But to no surprise, not many people, in fact, only 5 players are expected to score over 4 points. So think about this for a second. If you're trying to transfer in a player for a hit, they're not even expected to score 4 points. And I know we talk about the hit being only -2, because if you have a blanker leaving your team, you're getting somebody who even has appearance points, you get the hit is only 2. But to be honest, the ceiling is also not that high, given how the fixtures are. And so if you look at this Rate My Team chart, and again, I have to say this for the listeners, on this chart, the players that we have are Son around 5, Kane around 5, and then you have a host of players around 4, which is Coutinho, Lacazette, Jimenez, Schmeichel, Sa, Tillemans, I don't know what he's doing there, Reguilon. So these are all around 4. And a couple of things that stand out here, lots of midfielders, even decent amount of attackers, surprisingly. But the first defender that you see in this list is Reguilon at 3.9 expected score. Then Doherty at 3.8. Then Saiz back down at 3.6. So basically, people are not predicting big points for defenders. Excuse me. So I guess the idea is a hit is not going to pay off necessarily. And secondly, if you're taking one, focus on the attackers, not the defenders.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, right? It's like your 0 is maybe more valuable than risking a hit to get in a 0.15 upside in, I guess, Lacazette, for example. So, yep.
Exactly. So I think a lot of the high-owned players are already owned by the top 10K or people who are listening to this. But just to give you an idea, if you're looking to free hit and you're basically debating with 7 players, what's my, should I free hit or not? What I would recommend is put your existing players into the Rate My Team tool and then see what is the expected points that my team is going to get. Because if you see the next slide is basically what we've tried to do is used this Rate My Team tool and said, what is the expected value, the highest expected value going by this tool. And by the way, I have to emphasize, this is not the only tool. There are others out there. Some are a little bit more bullish because of X minutes, because they could have higher underlying data for certain players. So what I've seen is, and you see this in this draft, not a lot of teams are able to beat 45 to 50 points. And so we need to think about that for a second. If the expected score for an ideal team that most prediction websites are saying will hit about 50 points, then that hit is much more valuable. That hit is not the same as the hit that you take for a Kulusevski ahead of a double game week, taking out a player that you don't want. And that's basically the idea that we're trying to bring here. A hit is actually very precious in a blank game week, especially if that player is somebody who will end up taking out again. So if you think about a Tony is very popular on a lot of free hits. But if you're not on one, I would definitely not go for Tony. I mean, personally,
right, because
I don't think he has the fixture. So you're basically spending a transfer to get him in. You'll probably end up spending a transfer to get him out for a doubler in 31 or a 33. I just don't think it's worth it. So I keep coming back to the point that this is going to be a low ceiling game week. And if it's 45 is the expected points for the whole team, then a hit is worth 10% of that. So firstly, do you want to read out the team, Sonaldo, and just your thoughts on this Rate My Team for Game Week 30?
So for the listeners, this team has Meslier and Schmeichel in goal, Saiz, Soyuncu, Tierney, Cash, and Reguilon, Saka, Barnes, Rafinha, Son, and Coutinho in the midfield, and then Kane, Jimenez, and Lacazette up top. So yeah, I mean, I think, for example, I see issues here. For me, if I'm going to free hit this week, I want to not hedge so many bets. So I don't want to overlap these playing teams, and I think we'll get to it once we get to the template and the risky free hit teams that we've made at the end. So yeah, I think we can move on to the next one.
Yes, we can. So yeah, I mean, for the listeners or somebody who's just joined, this is not the free hit team we're proposing, by the way. This was just to show you that if you put these players that the Rate My Team tool predicts to score the most points, what is the max that you can get? So we're talking about 45 to 50 points. But let's go to slide 4, which is basically, now let's get into Game Week 30 And let's talk about what we think actually happens, because I think my biggest issue with it is I have no idea. I don't know how to predict any of these games. So let's go to that, and maybe you start with. Let's take it one by one and talk about the Wolves Leeds games as a start, which is the Friday night kickoff, by the way, for just as a reminder for people that that's the deadline this game week.
I think so. The Wolves one's very interesting, right? I was thinking about sort of where I would double up possibly, and one of the options is the Wolves defense. For example, I think I would take out Ramsdale and put in Saw, just because his bonus. He attracts a lot of bonus, and if I'm going to double up on a defense, it would be Wolves. Look, the clean sheet odds are 39%, so very low. But I'm not really doubling up on their defense because of the clean sheet. It's more that it's more about the sort of possible attacking returns, very, very low again. But what I mean by this is, center backs are legitimate threats in the air right now. Nori is probably going to come and start in the side, so possible option there. Saw again is bonus magnet for me, and clean sheet is tough because Leeds are always a threat, right? They can always score. This previous game against Norwich, their XG was super high. Rafinha 2 point something. So this is a classic case of sort of an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. If you know what I mean.
Like this.
Yeah. So
no, I agree with you.
So it's the one that I would bet on in terms of a double clean sheet. Yeah. How about yourself?
I mean, what we're betting on here is that Leeds don't turn up, and Leeds are the same Leeds that turned up against Villa, and not the Leeds that played against Norwich. And that's a fair assumption. I mean, Norwich is a different team. You can make that assumption that they were obviously, and they were very good against Norwich, right? So fair enough. I mean, I think, by the way, the odds, the clean sheet odds and the odds of winning are all from various websites, none in particular. And it's just basically we aggregated some of these and bring to you what the people who actually put money into this think.
Yeah.
So people do think there's a 50% likelihood of a clean sheet for Wolves here, and that's actually the third most likely clean sheet here. But we'll get to it on a game by game basis. But to be honest, if I was a double Wolves owner, underlying data for Wolves hasn't been impressive. Yes, they've got 2 clean sheets on the bounce. I'm not confident on a clean sheet. I mean, I would be probably most confident out of the others, but that doesn't mean that I know that this is going to be a nailed on clean sheet, because Leeds are obviously what Leeds are. We know what they are. They are always good for a goal. So that's basically it. What do you think about Leeds? I mean, would you go for Rafinha if you were on a free hit? Would you go for anyone else? Dare I ask?
Yeah, I think Rafinha is the only viable option here. But again, I'm not going for Rafinha because I'm doubling up on Wolves defense. Like, I just don't want to hedge a bet here because it's already somewhat unpredictable, and I'd rather have fun with the free hit and go for the upside chase in, I guess, the double Wolves or possibly even a triple Wolves defense if I'm feeling it. So I don't think I'd go for Rafinha for me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So prediction score. What do you think? Wolves 1-0?
But by the way, I would go for Rafinha if it's more of a defensive play in terms of just FPL managing, right? Just because his ownership's probably pretty high this game week. So if I want to maybe protect myself a little bit, I'll go there.
Okay. So what's your game prediction then?
On the basis that I'm betting on a double Wolves defense, probably, I don't know, maybe 1-0 with
let's remove the free hit side of it. Let's just think of it as a game.
Go ahead first. I'd like to hear you.
Okay. I'm going to say 1-0 Wolves. It doesn't feel right because you see, Wolves don't score either.
Yeah, I have Jimenez. They score. Yeah, I don't think I would have Jimenez in my free hit team either.
So Wolves don't score and Leeds concede, and Leeds are attacking, but Wolves are decent defensive. So it's, again, I think people see the point. This is very hard to predict.
Very hard to predict.
Maybe 1-1 would be my pick. Maybe. Yeah. I'm saying 1-0 because a lot of people have Wolves defenders just to be nice, but I think 1-1 is a fair score. If this game ends 1-1. Okay, let's go to Villa Arsenal. Even harder, I think, because if Arsenal were at home, I think this would be more predictable. Villa at home makes it slightly trickier. And again, the bookies can't call it. There's a 33% chance of Villa winning, 42% of Arsenal winning. Now, Arsenal are playing amazingly.
Yep.
And obviously they play tonight. We will see how that pans out. But I don't think they're clear favorites to win this. And even in terms of clean sheet odds, for example, there are lower clean sheet odds for Arsenal to keep a clean sheet than Wolves, Spurs. Actually, Spurs is similar, and Leicester. So it's not a nailed-on clean sheet, and it's not a nailed-on victory. So what are your thoughts on this game?
Again, super hard to predict. Villa just played. I can't remember, who did they just play? Pras.
They just drew with. Hold on.
I'm checking right now.
Villa had the 2-1 loss to West Ham.
Right. Okay, so right. They just played West Ham, and I think they played really bad. From my brief memory, so not very keen on Villa. I think they nicked a goal very late. So
I'm very on Jacob Ramsey.
Right. Exactly. Now I remember. So I think still I'm very confident that Arsenal will win this game. I don't think I'd go for Coutinho. I just think that all these odds and stuff should be taken lightly somewhat, because sometimes form beats everything. And every single time I've been watching Arsenal play recently, they've just been very, very convincing. So I would not be investing in any Villa assets for again, this free hit team in 30.
No assets at all. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I have Ramsey, right? I'm going to play him, but
right.
I'm not going to go for their defense. I definitely think Arsenal is going to score, and I'm not going to go for Coutinho as well. Because
Villa. To be fair, I'm just going to play Villa's devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
Before the West Ham game, they kept a clean sheet. That 4-0 Southampton win was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They kept a clean sheet against Brighton. That's not an easy one. That was away. So that was 2 clean sheets on a bounce. And even before that, I guess they lost to Watford 1-0. So their real recovery started with this Brighton win and then the Southampton win.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, look, this is not a team that is bankable. I think Arsenal is much more bankable in terms of performance prediction. Villa could have a great game. I think we agree with this. They could end up winning this 2-1 and nobody would be surprised. But I think the more likely outcome, I agree with you, is probably an Arsenal win. 1-0, 2-0. Is that where you are?
Yeah, I'll go with 1-0 Arsenal, 2-0 Arsenal. Yeah, I like it.
By the way, speaking of upside chasing and doing this well, I see FPL Salah Abdul here. I see Pranil here. So we're joined by royalty. Welcome, guys, and of course everyone else. So thank you for being here.
My childhood heroes, Late Razor and FPL Salah. So. Thanks for joining again. Okay, so should we go to the next game, Leicester Brentford?
So wait, but let's stay on this one first, and then
okay.
If you're backing Arsenal, who are you backing? Are you backing double defense? Are you backing double attack? Or are you saying 2 is enough?
I'm backing double attack. So I remember I said I'd probably have Salah in my team. So I think I put like a Tierney in there, and then have either Martinelli and Saka, or Lacazette and Saka.
Right. Why'd you go for Odegaard then? Do you want to tell everyone?
Yeah. So I spoke to Pras for like I think 30 minutes before the deadline.
Before deadline, while I was making breakfast for the kids, and there's Andy's call. Should I get Martinelli or Odegaard? And he ended up getting Odegaard. So maybe might as well talk about this now.
And you want to know something funnier is that I spoke to Pernil Late Riser as well about this. And I spoke to FPL Salah about this. So I just ask everyone what they think, and then end up making my own decision. But
each of them told you Odegaard. Why don't you name and shame?
I'm pretty sure all 3 of you guys told me Martinelli. And I wanted to be the guy that doesn't listen, so I went with Odegaard. Listen, it's too early to tell. Let's wait. No,
I agree. He was great. He was great, by the way. He was great. It's just, as an FPL asset, Martinelli misses today or Gameweek 30 and you're laughing, right? And he gets an assist. But it was just the ceiling of it with me. If Martinelli plays, I back him to even outscore Saka. So that's why I just like Martinelli as a pick. And I think if he doesn't play today, although I expect Martinelli to play today, if he doesn't, then you pretty much back. I would have Martinelli over Saka. If you need, if you want to go different, that could potentially be an option.
Yeah, but against that Leicester game, man, I did not like where Odegaard was positioned. He was like so much deeper than the previous game where he linked up well with Saka, and Martinelli is just so scary, so attacking, and his ownership's not high, but for me his ownership's 100% because I had the option to go to him, and I ended up going Odegaard. So we'll see how it turns out, but.
Okay, so no Villa players for you and double attack Arsenal for you.
Yep,
okay,
yep.
Interesting. I would personally, I actually find this game hard to call. So I would go one defense, one attack, to be honest, for me. I wouldn't triple up on Arsenal if I was on free hit. Of course, people who are not probably have it, and whichever combination you have is fine. I mean, Lacazette looks good. He's obviously on pens. Martinelli, we've talked about. Arsenal's defense is, a top 4 defense. So you never know when they can eke out a clean sheet. I mean, they basically stopped Leicester from scoring, who had scored in the last 12 games that they played in. So you back Arsenal for whichever play you have. But if we're talking free hit, I would probably go 2.
Okay, fair.
Okay, next one. Honestly, I listened to a couple of podcasts without naming them, but it was so contrasting. On how people are calling this Leicester and Brentford game. Some people, and by the way, this is reflected in the odds, some people are convinced that this is a Leicester battering. They will basically, Brentford played 2 easy teams, Burnley, Norwich, but they are still the team that was getting, they were leaking goals and Tony wasn't scoring. So this is a bankable clean sheet, and this is a bankable game for having double Leicester attack. On the other hand, you have people who think, look, Brentford are looking much better. They've started scoring goals. The magician Eriksen is starting. Leicester are weak on set pieces. Eriksen's going to basically swing them in. Tony's going to head them in. So I want double Brentford attack. And Leicester's just going to lose this game because they're too focused on, the Europa League. They'll be playing on Thursday. There's 2 schools of thoughts, and honestly, both are correct. I have no idea. What do you think about this game?
No, I like those narratives. There's literally a couple of narratives you can, I guess 2 separate narratives you can make for Leicester and for Brentford. As you mentioned, Brentford's a relegation threatened team that picked up a crucial win versus Norwich, and coming up against a Leicester that can pretty much be on the bench right now besides the conference, right? So this narrative for me favors Brentford. And if that is the way you want to view it, then again, I agree. You go for a set piece taker. And Tony is probably the most ideal, not only corners, but also Brentford, I think, are more of a threat from those long ball throw-ins than actual corner kicks. So that's very interesting too. Plus, the way they conceded against Arsenal, Leicester was 1 corner and 1 penalty. So it bodes well for Tony. The reverse, as you mentioned, is what's very interesting about Leicester is that while they're riddled with injuries, Rodgers sort of like knows his best starting 11, and he'll utilize his best teams when the percentage of the game winning is highest, if you know what I mean. And so if you look at the 2-0 win versus Rennes, I don't know if I'm saying it right, Rennes, and then Ren, sorry. Okay. Oh God, I got to be careful with these.
I thought I should correct you this time after the Kulufsky debacle, and I didn't correct the whole stream last time.
I'm so scared to pronounce these football players' names now. And on Monday, I got absolutely hammered by Lucas Dean or Digne. I don't even know anymore. So
no, it's Dean. I was with you with the TED one, right?
It's Dean. But man. I got so many DMs about some YouTube video of him pronouncing it, and I was like, all right, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was Digne, and I'm pretty sure we were talking about it one time, and it was Luca Dean. So. Anyways, if you go for a Leicester guy, I think there's 2 schools of thoughts for me, right? Is if Leicester is going to outclass Brentford, like they do sometimes, where they really dominate, as you mentioned, then option A, you go for someone like Daka or Madison, because they get the most chances when Leicester actually have the majority of the ball. But if you expect a sort of close caged match, or Brentford to do well and Leicester to hit them on the counter punch, then you go for someone like Harvey Barnes, who's actually operates really well against on the counter, for example, against Leeds. So, that's kind of my thinking here. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, by the way, a correction as Joaquin mentions, it's the Conference League, not the Europa League. So not to offend any team in the Europa League that Leicester are in, but they are still prioritizing it, and that's the main point. So okay, let's talk about the results. So you're going with the Brentford win, or what's your prediction?
I'm going for like a tough 2-1 Leicester.
That was going to be mine as well. So 2-1 Leicester, I think sounds right to me. Look, I think Tony has looked better, but a lot of the goals have come from pens. I wouldn't mind a Tony punt on free hit. But I think for the first time in many game weeks, we're actually rich with attackers in terms of if you're looking at a free hit. Because I think obviously Kane is one. Jimenez has a good fixture against Leeds. You have, and you mentioned Daka, by the way. I think Iñárritu could also play. I think Brendan Rodgers has just kind of gone rogue in terms of who is picking. There's no predictability. We'll see who starts on Thursday, but that's going to be a risky one. I do think Barnes will be popular. Maddison could be a shout if he's over his back problems. I mean, he had 90 minutes against Arsenal. So I think that could be a good shout, Leicester attackers. And you basically punt for no clean sheets and go double Leicester and Tony or something like that.
Yep.
So 2-1 for me as well. Okay, let's go to Spurs West Ham. We're getting some breaking news on Bowen, and that is that he should be out until April. So that's basically that blunts Spurs a lot because there's already issues with Antonio. That blunts West Ham a lot. There's already issues with Antonio, and if Bowen is out as well, it's a derby, right? I mean, West Ham take this game very seriously, so let's not forget that. It's a London derby, and I, having lived in London for 11 years, the loudest people are the fans. Going, and maybe it's because I spent some time living in East London as well. It's West Ham when they play Spurs, and vice versa. So it's not an easy game. But and add to that the fact that the Spurs team is just hot and cold. You don't know which Spurs you're getting. So again, I think that makes it not so obvious, even though the odds of winning for Spurs is about 55%. The clean sheet odds are poor, and I think that's reflective of the fact that Spurs have been poor defensively. So if you go for Spurs, it's obviously you're going for the attacking threat of the defender. And West Ham have kind of fallen off the rails a little bit. I mean, what do you think?
Actually, I don't think they're defensively so bad. Like if you look at their last 6 or 7, 8 games, they haven't kept many clean sheets. That's on paper, that's very obvious. But I don't think I'd triple up on Spurs offense, for example. I'd probably get someone like Doherty, Son plus Kane. And so, if you look at their, I think, previous 3 games, versus Liverpool, they were missing Rice. Versus Sevilla, it was a really great, not wonder goal, but great goal. And then Villa, they gave nothing until, Ramsey nicked a goal in the last, 89th minute, I believe. So one of the reasons why they're defensively pretty solid, regardless of, missing Bowen and Antonio, they have Fornals and Lanzini playing right now, and they're both very hardworking sort of workhorses, right? And that's very undervalued at times in terms of help defense and coming back and tracking back and following the opposition. So, they're not. I don't think 17% clean sheet odd is reflective of this of their defense. Granted, it's Spurs and very hot and cold Spurs right now, so we don't know what to expect. But yeah, anyway, so in terms of Spurs, I think I would go for Doherty over someone like adding a third Kulusevski, because Kulusevski, okay, I'm getting better, is that so the way West Ham play is they have 4 at the back and 3 in the middle, and when you have a formation like this, the 4 will be so focused on covering the wingers and center forwards that sometimes they don't have enough to track the bombing wing backs. So this could be potentially a good opportunity for someone like Sergio or Doherty to really expose their open space or inside runs. Yeah. It's called the TAA space, I think, where Doherty. Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree. But look, David Moyes has it in him, like you said, to put in a good defensive display in an away game, in a derby. So I think being cautious on on Spurs is the right play. Maybe you punt on a West Ham defender as well if Cresswell, if he's free, if he's fit. With for that attacking threat as well, because one of the things that we're struggling to put together, and most of you in Free Hit or other people who are looking at transfers, is there are no defenders, right?
Yeah.
So who are the defenders that you're going for? So Spurs defender just makes it in because of the fact that you need a good defender that is attacking.
Fair.
Maybe a Tierney makes it in just because you need a good defender that is attacking. So that's basically the thinking here. And I would go for a 1-1 here, or maybe a 2-1 Spurs, but I don't see a lot of goals, and I don't see. I mean, by the way, all the games we've either said 1-1 or 2-1 or 1-0. That's reflective of where we are.
Yeah.
In this week. So, what's your prediction for Spurs West Ham?
I'm gonna go 2-0 with 2 Son goals for this game.
Now you're being greedy.
Yeah. No, I think more seriously, probably like a 1-0, 2-0 is what I see. For Spurs, yeah.
Okay. So before we go to the free hit draft, let's just talk about people who are not on a free hit. So of all these teams, I think this is true that if you have triple Spurs, you stick to your triple, right? I wouldn't recommend taking hits for shifting Son to Kane this game week. I mean, the week was last week to do that because you would have got the extra doubles. He was a captain shout last week, even though many went Salah. This week, look, Kane will be the most captained as well, but I don't think it merits you taking a hit to get Son to Kane. 1 week game week variance is too high for you to make that move. So that's number one. So whoever you have from Spurs, Arsenal, if you're tripled up, just stick to those 3. No need to basically change that around. If you have Son or Kane, whichever one you have, I think we agree you captain that one. And if you have Son and Kane, you captain Kane. Do you agree with that?
Yep, I agree with that. Yep.
Okay. So then let's talk about defense. So who do we like in terms of... Now, again, we're not talking about free hit now. We're talking about a transfer in. So let's say somebody like me has Dean. I have the option to obviously go Wolves, who have a high chance of a clean sheet. I have the option to go to a Leicester, again, have a high chance for a clean sheet. And my thinking basically is that I will definitely avoid Wolves because I think the Wolves bandwagon has ended after this game week. So there's no point transferring in a Wolves player where everyone will be looking to get rid of them. So then you get to Leicester. And I put this tweet out yesterday on, is there any Leicester player that's going to start in game week 30 and you will expect him to start for the rest of the season? And the answer is a big fat no.
And just to add, the reason you're saying Leicester is because they double in 33, right? That's the big factor.
Double in 33, they'll have a double in 36, probably a double in 37. So when you're transferring in somebody, the idea is that you get them and they will be there in your team and they'll help you out in the future. I don't want to transfer somebody for, like I said, a Saiz, and then I have to transfer him out. That's 2 transfers wasted for an upside of 4 points. I don't want that. So that's basically the thinking. So it's either going to be, for me, if I didn't have a Spurs defender, definitely that. If I didn't have a third Arsenal, then I'd probably just go for a Arsenal defender, even if it's Ben White. Doesn't matter. Ben White, had a couple of bonuses as well, or a bonus in the last game. So that's my order of priority. But I'm assuming most people who are in this position are already tripled up on Spurs and Arsenal. Yep. Then you get down to who else? So West Ham have no further doubles in the future. Brentford have no further doubles in the future. Wolves have a blank, maybe a double in the future. Well, if they have a blank, they'll have a double in the future. So nothing is appealing. Maybe Villa, but then cash. If he's not going to double, I don't want to put that much money into cash now. Maybe if they had an easier fixture. Then it got me to Leicester. So people's view is generally that, Amarty will play in game week 30. But then after that, once Fofana is back, one of Amarty or Soyuncu will leave the team. And Fofana's return is imminent. He's in the squad for the Thursday game. So you're basically, if you're getting in Amarty, he's going to play 30 and then sit on your bench for the rest of the season. And I actually don't think that's a good play because you will need that defense for the doubles in 36 and 37. Because who are the teams that double in 36, 37? It's going to be City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal. And the best players from these teams, if you take out Salah and maybe a City mid, all defenders. Cancelo, Trent, Robertson, James, Rudiger, Tierney, White. So if you have an Amarty stuck there, you'll actually have to take him out later to upgrade him to somebody else. So my conclusion of all of this was I'm not touching a defender. If I have to make a defender transfer, I'm not making it. So if I'm on 6 players and I have 2 defenders short, I'm not making those, and I'll probably fill the team with other players. So in my position, I currently have, when I come to my bus team, I'll talk about it more. Even though I have only 1 defender playing, that's it. I'm leaving it there. I'm not going to do a defender transfer. Any thoughts from you there?
No, I think you explained it perfectly, and I followed everything you said. It makes sense. Would you dare touch a Justin or a Ricardo Pereira at all?
So Pereira, I think, was injured, although some people say it was a pre-planned transfer.
Yeah, he played 60 minutes, I think. Yeah. I think it was pre-planned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if he's fit, you could punt on him, but then Castagne will be back, Justin will be back, Thomas will be playing, and Pereira will be playing. He's just not somebody you want to keep long term.
Yeah, headache. Yeah.
So there is not a single Leicester defender. Now, I would say Sam Martin has promised a thread after the Rennes game tomorrow.
Nice.
Look out for that. He's going to tell us essentially get Barnes and no one else. And I can tell you that now, not to steal his thunder, but that's, he'll obviously give a fuller explanation on this, but essentially people's views, and I've spoken to a few Leicester fans, is get Barnes if you have to this week. Otherwise, just wait and watch. Let's see how Leicester progress into the Conference League, and then see how the doubles are. You may not even need them. You may be free hitting in Game Week 33. So, take it as you will. If you're only going for a Leicester player, I would say Barnes and maybe Schmeichel, but that's it.
Okay. Yeah. Perfectly put.
All right. So shall we then? So now we have 2 drafts to discuss with everyone. This isn't a draft that, we want to discuss this because we want to compare and contrast 2 drafts. One is a draft that will be very popular. You'll see on Twitter, a lot of people will have these players and you will get FOMO that why don't I have these players? And so that's that draft. And then the second draft is basically a very punty draft where you're saying, even though the games are hard to call, I'm going to call them and I'm going to go for those players. So I don't have this situation where I have Rafinha, and if he does well, then Cody and Sa won't do well. I have I have Amarty and Tony, and if Tony scores, then Amarty doesn't do well. This is the main problem in a blank game week where there's only 4 fixtures. A lot of your players will play against each other. So what the draft we have here, I'll read it out for the listeners. You have Sa and Meslier in goal. Meslier is going to be obviously a bench keeper. You have Tierney, Cody, Doherty in your starting 11, Cash and Amarty on the bench. Then in midfield, you have Saka, Rafinha, Barnes, and Son. And you could also start Coutinho. So that's your 5 in midfield. And then up front, you have Kane and Tony and Jimenez on the bench. Or you could have Jimenez playing and Tony on the bench. So obviously, cash is not a problem. So you'll have a very healthy looking bench, whoever you have on your free hit. But the idea here is most people right now in the top 10K own Saka, Coutinho, Rafinha, Kane, Jimenez, Cody, or Wolves, 1 or 2 Wolves, and Tierney. So basically what you're trying to do is here, you're saying, I'm going to cover all the teams that the top 10K players have, and I'm going to get my upside from the Barnes or the Tonys, and the fact that I'll have 11 playing players instead of 8 or 9. So that's your advantage here. It's a little boring, but I think this is going to definitely get you a green arrow. It'll probably get you anything between 10 to 20 points as upside. What are your thoughts here? What would you change here?
I think this is the template team for a reason. And as you mentioned, this is going to get you a green arrow just because of the lack of players that other managers have, and you're covering all the bases, right? But again, it's boring, right? I just think you can have a little bit more fun with it and kind of explore some other options as well. So like, for example, I'm not that keen on Jimenez. Tony's okay, right? But maybe I would definitely.
Who would you have in your attack then?
I think I would go for like a 3-5-2 for sure. And maybe Kane plus Tony, Kane plus Jimenez, one of those two, or possibly Lacazette. Yeah.
Right. Right. Okay. I mean,
I'm going for them because it's a lack of options. And also, I think this template team, Pras, by the way, it's just basically investing in the best players for the teams that are available this game week, pretty much, right? And it's very just, this team revolves around the ability of these players. So you know, you basically look at this team and you kind of see who you want to replace someone for, and kind of ask yourself, is this person going to outscore the popular player in Jimenez? You know.
Correct. And yeah, I agree with you. These are basically the Mavericks, or the guys who are likely to score a brace. That's basically this team. But unfortunately, these are all well-known players.
Yeah.
So if you want to go different, let's go to our next slide. So we wanted to show you a slide where, and by the way, boring is not bad, right? I'm a very boring manager as well. The best transfer is often the one that a lot of people are looking at. You don't have to be different just for the sake of it. And the worst feeling, I trust me, I've had a red arrow on a free hit. It's the worst feeling that you've actually had negative points from a chip. And this happened game week 38. 2 seasons ago. I just had a free hit left, and it stayed. So I played it in game week 38. I tried to go really different. So I backed against De Bruyne. I got Silva. A lot of people did this, by the way. They got David Silva for his final game, captained him, and then De Bruyne goes out and scores 15 points, and my free hit was like 10, 15 points under what the average was. So it's terrible. So there's nothing wrong with going with this the draft that we've just shared. But what we have here is basically a going all-in draft. Right. So what you're trying to say is, I'm going to pick Wolves to beat Leeds, Arsenal to beat Villa, Spurs to beat West Ham, and Leicester to win against Brentford. And I think these are reasonable shouts, even though we've talked about the fact that these are close games. This is a reasonable outcome. Yeah. And if you were going to go with that, you basically go, and this is for the readers, you have Sign goal. I'll read out the 11 first.
Yep.
You have Sign goal, you have Saiss and Cody in defense. So you go basically triple Wolves defense, because that's the defense you think you're backing the most. You add on top of that a Thomas or a Tierney. It really depends on you whether you want to back the the Arsenal defense or the Leicester defense. I probably would go Tierney. And then because you're backing Leicester, you go Maddison and Barnes in midfield. You're backing Spurs, you go Son, Kulusevski, and Kane in an attack. So you basically are saying West Ham are going to score. So I want a piece of that attack. And then because you're backing Arsenal, you have Saka and Lacazette in your attack as well. So basically, this gives you a team that only focuses on 4 teams, and you're basically picking those four teams to back. Now, if Rafinha scores a free kick against Wolves, this team is suddenly not looking that great. If Tony scores a header, suddenly, or Brentford keep a clean sheet, again, not looking so great. So let's be clear, we're not suggesting, guys, go for this draft. It was just to show you the spectrum. When we looked at Game Week 27 free hits, you remember when we started the stream, we didn't even have drafts because we said, there is only one. Because the games were easy to call. And it didn't pan out that way, I'll be the first to admit. But everybody was backing City against Everton. We were backing United against Watford, and there was a double as well. So there were games where you could go, I'm going to back this team, and that's where you went. Here, this is the issue. You cannot do that. So this draft basically tries to do what Game Week 27 draft was doing and say, I back these 4 teams.
Yeah. I think the only difference here for me would be I would drop Kulusevski, and I would add Doherty in there for, I guess, Ayling or Thomas, one or the other. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay, I think that was all we wanted to talk about the free hit team. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, there will be a very extensive review of how many chips you have left. Yeah. How do you plan the next 8 game weeks in the next video? We wanted to focus this one a little bit more on the free hit and game week 30 in general.
Yep, perfect. So let's go to our teams real quickly. This is probably one of the shorter ones we've done in a while, Pras. So very nice.
How long has it been?
49 minutes.
45 minutes?
Yeah.
That's all right. Under an hour. That's good.
Funny story, guys. I don't know how many listeners started listening to us when we began. I think episode 16 now, right? And when we first began, Pras's concept was, hey, let's make a 1-2 topic and make it maybe a 20-30 minute maximum video.
30 was at the lower end.
Okay,
30, 40.
Yeah. And I think when FPL Joe came on, we hit the 2-hour mark. So that plan has been thrown out the window, guys. So Okay.
We
Yeah.
still try to do it in an hour. I
Yeah.
think it has to be short and sweet. Given we don't do game week reviews, we don't cover every topic. We talk about only the 2-3 things that we think are the most important.
Yeah.
I think we should try to do it within an hour. So this is good.
Yeah. And the reason I'm wearing a suit, by the way, is I have a very busy week with work, and I came home late, and I thought, why not just wear the suit while I video with you, Pras? So nice T-shirt there, Mr. Pras. So okay, we have your team here. Do you want to sort of read out what we have?
Yeah. So I have Ramsdale in goal at the moment. So I'm in a very unique position where I have only 8 players, but I also have a benching dilemma. So I have to decide between Ramsdale and Sa. I think 90% sure I'm going to play
so
Ramsdale.
Tough. Yeah.
I go by underlying data. I back Arsenal over Wolves any day. So I'm pretty sure I'll play Ramsdale unless they get beat 5-0 today, which will be a pleasure to watch, but we will see. So it's Ramsdale in goal. Then I have Doherty as my only fit defender. This is what I mentioned. I was actually looking, can I do a free transfer? And I don't think so. I'm just gonna hope if Dean plays, it's fine, because next week my plan is to make Dean into a Cancelo or a Rudiger and basically go into the premium defense, which I think will be popular going game week 30 and beyond. And then in midfield I have Martinelli, Rafinha, Saka, and Kulusevski. Obviously Salah doesn't play. And then in attack I have Jimenez and Kane is currently captain. So at the moment, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players. 8 plus Dean. Dean's not going to play, and I will probably leave it at that. There's the only transfer that is tempting to me is Broha to Gelhardt, and this is contingent on me getting the right sound bites from the manager on Rodrigo being injured and Gelhardt, deserving a start and things like that. So if I can get a start out of Gelhardt, I'll probably make that move simply because I don't think I'm going to need 3 strikers in the stretch. I think the stretch, as I mentioned, is going to look like 4 premium defenders, maybe a Doherty, or even 5 premium defenders, and 4 good midfielders. And then you have a Kane and a Weghorst or Richarlison, something like that. So if that's my prediction, then I'm happy to lose the 3rd forward slot and downgrade Broha to Gelhardt and get that game this week. So that's the only move I'm considering, but otherwise, most likely I'm going to roll.
Gelhardt is for sure starting, Pras?
No, we don't know.
Okay.
Because Rodrigo is injured, he may, but we are not sure. I mean, James could play. Bamford is obviously back, so we're not sure.
Okay, fair. One thing I want to sort of emphasize when you were just talking is how you said you're going to pay attention to the pressers. And I think that's very interesting that you said that, because one of the things I picked up from my interactions with LR, for example, and our FPL friends is that a lot of these veteran managers are very interested in these pressers, and obviously this seems like not unique news or anything like that, but not only the pressers, but any interviews and sort of midweek articles that come out from team news and stuff like that. So being engaged in that manner is also, I guess, very profitable as an FPL manager. Would you say so, Pras?
I mean, it's not just profitable. It's basic hygiene. I mean, either you're doing an early transfer where you take a risk, but if you're at Thursday night, then there's no way you should make the transfer. There's so many times information comes in the press conferences, whether that is on your captaincy, of course that can change, but on your transfers, any injury or any niggle to any player impacts everything. If Kane has a niggle, and I'm not going to wish that upon him, I hope not, I'm already down, but that would change everything, right? I mean, you would basically then do Tony and you upgrade somewhere else, and it's just not worth it, especially in a week like this. So yeah, I wouldn't touch the team.
What I was referring to, and I hope I don't butcher this, because this is not a full extent of what was going through LR's mind, but in Game Week 28, Coutinho obviously did amazing, right? And I remember he was saying how there was a Gerrard interview or something saying how Coutinho is very important to him, and these key words that like really made the difference of going for someone like in a 50-50 decision. So I thought that was very interesting to learn and to hear from such a
Yeah.
good manager like himself. So yeah.
So
Okay.
that's me.
Great. So yeah, this is my team for the readers or for the listeners. I have Ramsdale in goal. I have Doherty and Dean, and in the midfield I have Son, Ramsey, Odegaard, Saka, and up top I just have Kane. So essentially I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 players, 8 but 7 because Luka Dean is injured. Yeah, really, really tough position. This, again, in hindsight, leads to my decisions I made prior to Game Week 29, where I had the option of just downgrading Son to Kulu and get Kane plus Laka and have Doherty as well. And in hindsight, I think that would have been a much better move because of the flexibility I would have given myself, not so much about the points. But
Bowen's
because
out, by the way. So you would have regretted it, actually, because you would have had Dean and Bowen injured,
right.
despite having planned for it. So, I listened to you with Ted. I don't think it was that bad. I mean, you went for the upside with Kane, and now you have Kane as the option to captain this week. And you have Son and Kane, by the way, who are expected to be the two top scorers this week. So I don't think it was that bad.
Okay, fair. So exactly why I'm okay with not free hitting after the entire session today is the fact that I do have the key two big players in Son and Kane. So I feel like that counts for more than just having two players for this game week, if you know what I mean. So very, very difficult position right now. I literally have 0.0 in the bank. So very limited on moves. And you mentioned Cancelo for game week 31, and that's firmly on my radar right now. And I need to figure out what I'm going to do for 30. My 31 team is fine, but I want to get like a City player in there somehow. So I need to think about that to a further extent. So I'm not really sure what to do. I don't want to take any hits, as we saw in the second graph. And I'm going to go back there real quickly for people joining us now. This is kind of the expected points for this game week, and there's very limited guys above 4, which is a -4, and it's all attackers, and I have a bunch of them. So maybe when I was on TED Talks FPL on Monday, I was speaking more about how can I be more defensive this game week, and the defensive play is to bring in guys like Rafinha or Coutinho, and it is possible for me because I have a wild card in my back pocket. So the only thing I can think about right now doing is, with one free transfer, is probably cover a Wolves defender. And so that would mean, I don't know, Luka Dean to a Cody possibly. So
maybe. I mean, that's, as I said, it really depends on when you're wildcarding, who are you targeting, because next week, again, you'll want to take Cody out. You'll want to take him out to... and we only talked about Cancelo. You don't even have James. So Chelsea also have amazing fixtures. By the way, this is an idea for people like you who've got wildcard and free hit and bench boost left. If you're wildcarding in 34 and probably free hitting in 33, I don't know. Then why are you not giving more thought to taking Salah out? Because if you take Salah out, he blanks obviously in 30. In 31, he plays Watford. That's the big risk. But then in 32, he plays City. And in 33, you're on free hit. So you're not... If you can basically digest the Salah game against Watford, then you don't need Salah now until you wildcard. So have a think about that. Nice. Again, this is not me trying to get you out of it, but this is just getting your creative juices flowing if you're struggling for ideas. And for anyone else, taking Salah out will give you all the funds in the world next week to upgrade your defense to whichever defenders you want. And as long as he doesn't score a brace or a hat-trick against Watford, you should be okay. And he may even get a rest. You never know. So that's basically a play. It's a high-risk play. But for people who are looking to wildcard in 34, I don't see the need to have Salah now.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And you don't, he's coming back from, I guess, 2 crucial Senegal World Cup qualifiers, I think prior to 31, right? Right before Watford?
Correct.
So there's a chance he gets rested, or probably not?
See, the thing is, Diaz, Mane, are also playing, and in fact Diaz is playing later. So if you assume, I mean, who are they going to play? So it has to be one of them, right? So you're taking a risk. Let's live with the knowledge that you're taking a massive risk. And if he plays, he will be very highly captained. So I don't want to come across as this is the obvious idea.
No, I
it's a
understand.
very high risk idea.
No,
but
I
then
appreciate it. Yep.
People who wildcarded in 26 didn't triple captain Salah against Norwich and Leeds. So let's remember that. Yeah. Sometimes you take the risk knowing what. But look, in the comments there's enough people saying he's not going to be rested. The league is now wide open, and he can score against Man City too. That Karam says, hello, Karam. He's absolutely right. So it's not I'm saying it is a potential idea. It's not the only idea, but I don't think it's got enough legs that people haven't given it enough thought, especially because if you're free hitting in 33 and wildcarding in 34, you're not worried about Salah in 33 and 34.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Yep. Okay, yeah, thanks a lot for guys for listening. I think we have a super chat, by the way, which is very nice of you.
Well, we can take any other chats, any other questions as well. I mean, we have about 5-10 minutes as well. So, I mean, I'll answer Sheriff's question first, as people are asking any questions if they have left. On White and Tierney, I would just go White for now. To be honest, because it's a free transfer, you need funds going forward. Tierney has looked fine, but since Cedric has been playing, he hasn't been as attacking. Now, Tomiyasu may come back in game week 30, so that would push Tierney slightly further up. But I don't think the delta is that high that it's worth the 0.6. If you're on a wild card or if this was a double game week, I would say, okay, go for the upside. But for a single game week, I don't think it's worth it. So that was at least one.
And Tierney is the price point of Tierney is like a fourth defender option, kind of. And at his price point, it's quite expensive to have as a fourth defender, unless that's the way you want to play the rest of the season, I guess. So I think a 4.4 White is perfectly fine. And it's not like Tierney's attacking threat is as high as we expected it to be initially. So, of course, this can change, and Arsenal's fixtures are pretty decent. So one to consider. Yep.
Yeah. So there's a question from Anthony Lee. What would you do if you have only 5 players this week? So Anthony, 5 is a little low. But if your 5 are Kane, Son, a Wolves defender, maybe Jimenez. So what I would encourage you to do is on the second slide that Sonaldo presented, we had the expected points. So if your 5 players are expected points at 25, 30, then leave it. But I think you're closer to a free hit.
Yep. Any other questions you see?
Jimenez, Tony, Lacazette from Akbar. Jimenez, Tony, Lacazette in order of preference. What do you want to go first?
I don't see the question. What's the question?
Jimenez, Tony, and Lacazette in order of preference. 1, 2, 3.
Lacazette for sure, 1. And then, I think I'll go Tony and Jimenez. Tony, and then I just don't rate Wolves' attack. And this could bite me in the butt. But yeah, I like Tony more than Jimenez this game week.
On a free hit, I like Tony as well.
Okay,
on a free transfer, so on a free hit, probably Tony for me. I do like Jimenez more than Lacazette, not because I don't like Arsenal. It's because there are other options from Arsenal. There's no other options from Wolves that you can target on a free hit. So for me, it would be Tony, Jimenez, and for me, it's equal between Tony and Jimenez and Lacazette.
No, but just in isolation, without the...
In isolation, of course, Lacazette is higher than anyone. I mean, people wildcarded for him. But again, as I said, if you're going for... In my free hit draft, I'll only have one attacker from Arsenal, and that will be Saka. Because I don't think I want to go double attack against Villa.
Okay. Ronaldo, will Aït-Nouri play in game week 30? I think so. I think he's going to come back. But that's just my opinion. Are Burnley just a complete no-go, Pras?
Okay, we're talking about game week 31 then. Yeah. No, I don't think so. I don't think they're a no-go. I think Weghorst will be popular. I'm sorry to tell you, but you will see Weghorst in a lot of teams, especially those that don't have a chip and are not free hitting, because he'll have a double in 31, a double in 33, and a double in 36. Yeah. So people will just say, look, the forwards are not doing anything. I might as well have this guy and keep him in the team for the rest of the season. So I don't think you've seen the last of Weghorst.
Oh, for sure. He's probably going to come into my team at some point. So, yeah.
I see Karam's question. I have Ramsdale, Doherty, Son, Kulusevski, Saka, Martinelli. 6 players enough to survive. Ooh, This is right on the edge. So he's got, I think he's got the right Spurs. He's got Saka and Martinelli. He's got Ramsey. So triple Arsenal, triple City. Sorry, triple Arsenal, triple Spurs. What do you think?
Yeah, I see it.
Would you leave it?
And he has one transfer, so he'll get to 7, but definitely can't get to Kane.
No,
he
the
has
6
3. Okay.
includes the transfer with Martinelli.
Saka, Ramsey, Martinelli. Okay, nice. I'm assuming he has one free hit left, so Karam, I think I would leave it. I think you're covered pretty decently.
But be prepared to lose 15 points to the average. But you hope that your next free hit will get you more than 15 points over the average.
Yeah, see, it's tough to like actually confidently give advice on like such, question mark 50-50, not 50, but iffy, decisions like this. So, Karam, what I would say is trust yourself.
All right, a couple more. Do you see any couple more that we should do? Piotr is saying Gabriel or Tierney on a free hit doesn't matter. I don't think there's much in it. One is good at headers, one is good at crossing. I don't think Villa are susceptible from corners as much as Leicester were. So a lot of people went Gabriel. I did on my wildcard. Not much in it.
Let's just tackle these 231 questions because I think people want some answers in order to kind of plan for this game week as well as next. So one of them is, would you prioritize Cancelo or James in game week 31? And the other one is wildcard 31 now an option? Against the easy answer to the second question is that it's very team dependent. But James or Cancelo for you? Is James even back from injury? Yeah.
Well, James has been training, and there was talk that in tonight's game he has a chance. So this is not. I reckon after a 2-week break he should be in contention. So he would be riskier. But then with the problem with Cancelo is he would be theoretically a bigger rotation risk if City progress. I would base the decision on the Champions League draw. If one of the teams have a hard Champions League draw and you back them to go out, I think City you won't back. But if Chelsea, let's say, have a very difficult one, then you know that James will be more available, so you jump on him now. But there's not much in it. I'm planning to get both because I think they're the best two apart from Trent to own for the run-in. So it's a difficult one. But on wildcard, by the way, a lot of people will wildcard in 31. I don't think that's a niche strategy at all. Because people have either dead-ended to 30 and they will just basically say, I'll wildcard in 31. I will even potentially bench boost in 33 and free hit in 36. That's a legit strategy that can work. So for sure.
Mihir, you asked one of the easiest questions out here. Bowen to Barnes since he's out. Good option till game week 33. I'm wildcard 34. Yes.
Delia has a question. I met her actually on Saturday in the event organized by Nima.
Oh, nice.
She has a question. How do you choose to play Ramsdale rather than Sa? I'm currently torn. So if I had an Arsenal defender, I would probably split the risk only because there's not much in it. But because I have no Arsenal defender, number one, Arsenal is a more owned defense. So I want to have that Arsenal defense. And B, underlying data, there's no comparison between how good the Arsenal defense is versus Wolves. So I just back Ramsdale. Both are good for saves. Both are good for bonus. So for my team, I'm backing Ramsdale over Sa. On a free hit, probably I play Sa, have one other Arsenal defender. I don't have that choice for my team.
FPL A+ asks a great question. Brentford defender is not an option. Would you consider a Brentford defender?
You could. I mean, no defenders are good, no defenders are bad in this game week. But Leicester are good for a goal, right? I mean, we were surprised. Not many were expecting an Arsenal clean sheet. I mean, even though they were reasonably toothless, Leicester are a decent attack. So Brentford are good as well. Raya is back, but I don't see why that is a higher probability of a clean sheet than a Wolves or an Arsenal.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe a couple more?
Sure.
Any you see?
Prediction on tonight's games. Yeah, that's a good question. What do you think? Arsenal Spurs. Arsenal Liverpool. And
You tell
Brighton
me. You're
Spurs.
going to the game. By the way, guys, Pras is going to the game to watch his triple captain blank. So
It's like a bucket list, right? Six
very
players.
excited.
I own 6 players in the game and a triple captain. I would obviously. I think firstly before FPL, I think it's going to be a great game because
Yeah, for
Arsenal
sure.
are playing really well. Liverpool can smell the title again after the City slip up, so it's going to be a great game. I think Salah is going to start. Martinelli is going to start. Look, I think if there's an early goal, this has got a 3-1 to either team written on it. But I'm backing Liverpool, so I think it's 3-1 Liverpool.
Oh wow, I don't think it's going to be that easy. I feel like Arsenal's going to put up a good match, so I think it's going to be a much more cagey game. But yeah,
Because you have double defense.
Who, me?
Don't you? You don't have double Arsenal?
Maybe it's I don't know what I want. This is one of those things that nobody knows what they want, So we'll see.
Right. So what's your prediction? 1-0, 2-1, Liverpool?
Liverpool's going to win, probably like 2-1, maybe.
Okay. All right, so we're not far. Okay, and then Brighton Spurs?
Oh, Brighton Spurs. I honestly no idea. Like this is impossible to predict right now the way Spurs are playing.
Will 3-1? Sorry, Will thinks I predicted 3-1 Arsenal. I predicted 3-1 to Liverpool. So 1-3.
Yeah. So okay. So, yeah. So Spurs Brighton. One, 2-1, 2-1. No, 2-0 or 2-1. 2-0,
2-1 sounds fair. I'm on 2-1 as well.
Yeah.
Spurs to win 2-1. All right, let's leave it there. I don't think. Okay, last one. Will asks best free hit midfielder punt. Currently contemplating Neto, Puddens, Tillemans, or Madison as low EO players.
Why is Barnes not in there? Is he high EO?
He's not. Probably he already has Barnes and he wants one more.
Okay.
I don't mind Madison, to be honest.
Yeah,
Madison, if he gets an early sub tomorrow, he's looking good. I mean, he has been looking good. If he's over his back pains, I mean, because you're going for somebody that no one has. Podence is okay, but then Wolves is really rubbish in attack. So I like Madison out of that.
Yeah, I like Madison. I think on a free hit, I'd have fun and double up possibly on Madison Barnes. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you guys again for joining us. If you could hit the like button, that'd be much appreciated. And again, we'll be back next week. Next week's going to be a much more in-depth kind of process specialty in terms of trip strategy, and I'll be milking it to get the best information from him as well. And thank you again for your support continuously, and we will be back next week. So any final words, Pras?
No, I mean, I look forward to next week's season. If you're on a wildcard bench boost and free hit, I'll be giving some bad advice to Sonaldo, but everyone else will get some good, clean advice on what you should do for the future. But thank you all for joining.